Yo, what is up, my puffer people? It is I, Kane, your puffer pal, back with another video. Today I'm bringing you guys the first episode of a brand new series on the channel, something I have been thinking of, kind of like letting sit in my mind for a while, something I've really been wanting to do. Kind of combine my love of the Pokemon games with my love of competitive knowledge to make a brand new series I like to call Competitive Analysis. So what I'm going to be doing in this series called Competitive Analysis is I'm going to be analyzing different in-game teams, and depending on if I feel like it, maybe even analyzing stuff like from the anime. That could be fun. We'll see, but for now I'm doing in-game teams. And I'm going to be analyzing them and kind of taking them, critiquing them, and saying how good they are based on competitive. Like, this is from a competitive standpoint to say, are the in-game teams living up to competitive standards, or are they not that good? And at the end, I'll actually show you how I would take the team and fix it up. So for the first episode, we're going to be looking at Blue's team, the original champion. Now, I'm probably going to be going through the champions first. Let me know in the comments below if who you would like to see me analyze the team of, because obviously there are gym leaders, which technically would be hard, but I could always figure it out. There are, what else is there? Evil team leaders, Elite Four members, we got options. So, but today we're looking at Blue. So, I'm actually looking at his team from Sun and Moon, and probably, I guess, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Why? Just because his Gen 1 team was Gen 1, so it was very bad, so I felt it was, unfair judging that team, realistically. So I figured I would look at this team, which is still only Gen 1 Pokemon, but at least is kind of not just Gen 1 moves and stuff. So, for starters, the first thing you want to look at with a competitive team is synergy. Does this team have synergy? So, I'm going to say no. The biggest problem with this team is he ran basically every Pokemon offensive. So you've got decently bulky Pokemon. Like, Eggy and Arcanine could definitely be run defensive if you use them right. So can even Aerodactyl. But the problem is he ran every Pokemon offensive. Alakazam, Aerodactyl, Arcanine, Gyarados, Machamp, and Exeggutor. So with running every Pokemon offensive, a good defensive Pokemon absolutely destroys this team. Like, looking at this team, looking at this, let's see, what could destroy? A Volcanion could destroy this team. Obviously, he has Aerodactyl. Obviously, there's no Pokemon that could, easily 6-0 most teams. But my point is, the lack of, synergy and coherent team means it's kind of just a free-for-all, So, the next thing I looked at kind of is the typing. So the typings of the team, I'm going to give Blue actually some credit with this team, because the type-wise, it's not bad. I mean, he only has one repeating type, and he covers his weaknesses kind of well. He had a decent little rock weakness, but at least he had a Machamp, so he has a resist. Then you've got, let's see, you've got flying weakness right here, which he covers with Arrow. You got a dark weakness actually, yes, theory pinged up. But you got the dark and ghost weakness, is that dark gets checked by you. Ghost is the problem he doesn't check, but he did run dark type moves on 3 of his Pokemon, so at least he is kind of checking those. Besides that, though, when you look at his typings offensively, I'd say he actually has a really good offensive typing. Wise, there's not a lot of Pokemon that could just straight up wall his whole team. Looking at this, you've got this thing that can hit fairy types. It could hit flying, bug, with Skydrop. You could have psychic, ghost. Obviously, steel types is a big thing. It doesn't have earthquake, so steel types is a big thing. But it does have Arcanine and Machamp to back that up. Meaning, offensively, I will say this team has synergy. Like, the defensively, because of the offensively, this team has synergy. And the typings aren't bad. But let's get into kind of the actual sets he decided to run, which is kind of where he loses it for me. So you start off with Psychic, Future Sight, Shadow Ball, Reflect. Not a good set. Not a good set. In competitive, you don't want to run Future Sight. I also kind of want this to be kind of advice to people for competitive, kind of to show you what not to do. So the reason we don't want to run Future Sight, now I have seen Future Sight run fairly successfully before, but the problem is it's very unreliable. Why? Because you have to wait before it actually activates. And the instant damage, even though Psychic does less, the instant damage is just way better. Like, if you have a Machamp in front of you, you click Psychic, you kill it. You kill Future Sight, you will kill it, but it could switch out. You're allowing it to switch out. So instant damage is just better when it comes to most mounts. Reflect is fine, but without a Light Clay, it's only, 4 turns. So it's not that great. Obviously, steel types kind of come in on this pretty free. Then Air I kind of went into, but I like the coverage, but I would have replaced Skydrop with Earthquake, because looking at this set, again, steel types just absolutely destroy this set. Like, it's not even, funny. Like, this set can't break through steel types. And when you build a set for an offensive Pokemon, you want to look. You want to say, what switches into this Pokemon? And you need to identify that and fix that, which Blue did not do. Then you got Arcanine. So Arcanine has Flare Blitz, Bulldoze, Thunderfang, Extreme Speed. Bulldoze, being that it is a very weak attack, is not using competitive, usually. Now, this was pretty close combat on Arcanine, so I'll cut him some slack, because obviously Bulldoze is there for rock types, but at most of the time, here's the thing, most of the time you don't want to run a coverage move if it's just going to hurt you in the long run. And at the end of the day, Bulldoze isn't doing enough damage to justify it being on the set when he could have Will-O-Wisp or Morning Sun. Will-O-Wisp absolutely, what's the word? I don't know. But helping deal with those, very pesky physical attackers, or Morning Sun making this thing's longevity great with Intimidate. But it's not a bad set. The priority's there, and the coverage ain't bad. Then we have Gyarados on the Gyarados. So, again, doesn't have Earthquake, which I feel like is very good. With Ice Fang for covering the grass types. Unfortunately, this is pre-Power Whip, meaning he really doesn't have a good way to deal with bulky waters. Like, looking at the set, a good bulky water, odds are, is going to beat this. And without Earthquake, actually, and an electric type, a lot of electric types, type can live one hit. It can beat this thing. So the lack of Earthquake definitely hurts this thing. Then we look at Machamp. Machamp's set is probably the most solid set. The lack of held items definitely hurts it because it doesn't get the gut set. Poison Jab covers fairies, which annoys, obviously, fighting. Knockoff covers Psychic and Ghost. And then Cross Chop is a strong stab. Now, Cross Chop is not the... I would have picked... being that he's running Bulk Up, I think Drain Punch, which I believe it gets, would have been a much better idea because I think this pre-close combat, if it had close combat probably would have been about. But I think this is a solid sweeping set. He covers the weaknesses of Machamp, and actually this is a really good set to like show how to build right. He covers the weaknesses, he has a good setup move, and he has a nice strong stab. Now this Exeggutor, I wish I could be nice too. So Leaf Storm, Psychic, Sludge Bomb. Obviously he ran a more offensive Exeggutor. The big problem is he ran Hypnosis. Exeggutor gets Sleep Powder, which is just more accurate than Hypnosis. There's no reason to run Hypnosis over Sleep Powder. Yes, Sleep Powder can't hit grass types, but at the end of the day, you have Sludge Bomb for that exact reason. You can handle the lack of PP. You might be like, oh, it makes up for the grass type. Trust me, it is not. Risking the miss on Hypnosis is really, really bad. When you're prepping, you want to make it so that there's the least likely chance for you to get hacks. Because hacks is a big part of the game. But if you can make it so that hacks is harder for it to happen to you, you're at least mitigating the potential of losing to hacks. So I think without him, had he run Sleep Powder, this set would be great. So overall, I think Blue has a very solid team, actually. For just having Gen 1 Pokemon, I think his team is very solid, at least offensively. I think when it comes to the bulk, he really fails to live up to it. Intimidate on Arcanine is literally the only way he could actually switch into a Pokemon. Otherwise, all his Pokemon are offensive and will just absolutely get destroyed by really any strong attacker. Stuff like Excadrill, which will two-shot basically this whole team. Well, this whole team if it has like a rock move. And other really strong Pokemon are just going to absolutely go in on this team because of its lack of bulk. But the coherent typings and strong offense definitely makes this team a formidable team that when you're playing competitive, I think you would have to definitely watch out for because of the lack of switch-ins. So I think overall, I would actually give this team probably like an 8 out of 10. No, a 7.8 out of 10. 7.8 out of 10. Very good, but could definitely be improved. So now I'm going to show you kind of how I would recommend improving this team. So we start off with the Alakazam. I would run Life Orb on it. Obviously, he didn't have items. I'm going to hold that. I'm not holding it against him, but I would have had Life Orb. And then I would have had Psychic, Nasty Plot, Focus Blast, and Dazzling Gleam. Shadow Ball's nice for those ghosts, obviously. But I find Dazzling Gleam to actually be a very nice coverage move. Fairy, Super Effects Dragon. Now you might not think that's super important, but dragons are very scary in most metagames, realistically. Like if we're looking at Dragapult's one of the most fun Pokemon. Now, can you realistically beat Dragapult? No, but having the coverage for it is nice. Kingjaw, Hydreigon. There are a lot of... Also, it covers dark types, like Mandibuzz, because obviously you have the Focus Blast, but Mandibuzz being one of the most run Pokemon, having Dazzling Gleam is super helpful. And at +2, do you need Shadow Ball for what? Ghosts? They're going to die to a Psychic. You know? Then Exeggutor. Obviously, I replaced Sleep Powder. I actually ran Iapapa plus Harvest. He had Chlorophyll on his team, but with the lack of Sun, I don't see a reason to run Chlorophyll. Whereas with Iapapa plus Harvest, it makes your longevity great, and I ran him a specially defensive set, with good enough HP to where it could definitely take some hits. Sleep Powder, Giga Drain, Psychic, and Leech Seed. This set is really just for longevity. With the Iapapa plus Leech Seed plus Giga Drain, it's going to be sitting there in front of Pokemon and allows it to handle threatening water types, which makes the game easier for Gyarados, which we'll get to in a sec. For this Pokemon, I ran it with Heavy Duty Boots. Obviously, he didn't have Heavy Duty Boots, but I'm just saying how I would optimize it, this team in this metagame, because I guess if any of you guys wanted to run a blue team, this is how I would recommend running it. Heavy Duty Boots with Intimidate, Morning Sun, Will-O-Wisp, Flare Blitz, Close Combat. This kind of his way of dealing with physical attackers. He's only running a low Fizzdaff, but with Intimidate plus Will-O-Wisp, he should be able to handle a lot of scary physical attackers. I mean, Excadrill's still a threat, but I feel like his team is never going to be able to handle Excadrill realistically. But at least this allows it to come in on Pokemon that are scary, like a Hawlucha and Intimidate that. It can come in on a Kumuo. Sorry, it can come in on Rillaboom, Scizor, some of the scarier Pokemon, intimidate them, then fire off a free Will-O-Wisp, and Morning Sun allows it to have nice longevity. Now, Aerodactyl, I ran Focus Sash with Stealth Rock, Stone Edge, Earthquake Root. Stone Edge plus Earthquake is really the coverage you need to be hitting most stuff really hard. And then with access to Stealth Rock, it can be very good. Stealth Rocks aren't as good because of Heavy Duty Boots, but just that residual damage is super nice for these two Pokemon, who are going to be your main sweepers and Alakazam. And Roost is able to make your longevity a little better. Oh, I haven't explained the EVs, but yeah, you understand, I think. Then we got Expert Belt, Intimidate, Dragon Dance, Power Whip, Earthquake, and Waterfall on our Gyarados. So what Expert Belt does is it allows you to hit for the super effective hits, do more damage. Now, why is this important? Because you got Power Whip to handle the pesky, bulky water types, and Ice Fang to handle those grass types. Expert Belt allows you to do a little bit more damage to those Pokemon than you would normally be doing, but it doesn't cause any damage to you like a Life Orb would do. Meaning you can do more damage and usually at +1 with an Expert Belt. Power Whip should be able to KO a lot of water types. And Ice Fang should be able to do at least a very good amount of damage with Expert Belt to most grass types. So this, and you're not taking any recoil, meaning you can do a better job at sweeping and you're not going to kill yourself, you know? So I think this set realistically puts in work, especially in this metagame. There are very few switch-ins. I mean, Alakazam dies. Amoonguss is a switch-in, but if you can get to like +2, it dies. Unless the Sap Sipper dies. You know, most of these Pokemon are going to die. Then finally, last but not least, Machamp. So, set of Machamp, well, not bad, honestly, is not how I would run it. I'd actually run this set. I run 68 defense just because this team is very weak to rock types. So, in order to not just get swept by a rock type, you need a low defense. In close combat, Bullet Punch, Facade Knockoff. Bullet Punch can catch those really fast rock types off guard and do good damage to them. Flame Orb obviously activates the Guts, so you really don't need that max attack because you're going to be doing a lot. Close combat can absolutely decimate stuff with Guts. Facade is a 140 base power attack because of Guts, because of your burn. And then Knockoff is good coverage for those Ghost and Psychic types. So this is how I would kind of optimize Blue's team if I had to. I would make the Alakazam lean more heavily into just pure raw damage. I would make Exeggutor and Arcanine more bulky, so this team doesn't just get swept by every Pokemon. I would make Aerodactyl more of a hazard setter, so it could set up for the more offensive Pokemon like Gyarados and Machamp, who Gyarados just could sweep after a Dragon Dance or two, and Machamp is a very good rock resist who allows the team, who is able to chip down the team and set up for other Pokemon to put in the work. So this episode 1 of Competitive Analysis, I hope you enjoyed us kind of going in depth on Blue's team and what I thought about it. Overall, here it is again. I think it's a pretty good team. I genuinely think Blue, I think we had a good start. Next episode, we're not going to have as good of a team, so I'm kind of just trying to save it right. You know, he had a nice team, a very powerful offensive team, and honestly, hyper offense is a legitimate strategy, which I think this team leans into very, very well. So shout out to Blue. He actually did a very good job at building a team, and if you guys ever want to actually use a Blue team, here's a little sample team you could use. I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode. Let me know down below in the comments below what you would like to see from this series, and until next time, my puffer people, stay puffed.